Hi, this is our first lesson over the Pythagorean theorem. So this is part 1. We're going to have several lessons about the Pythagorean theorem, and this is just our introduction to it. So the Pythagorean theorem was proven by Pythagoras, hence the name Pythagorean theorem. And the theorem looks like this: c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And you have to understand that typing on the keyboard, we can't do exponents. So what this means to you when you're taking notes is the same thing as this. It's just a little bit quicker for me to type it the other way. So when I do an up arrow 2, it really means that it's the exponent up. Okay, so I will continue to type these with the up arrow 2, but I need you to understand that this is what we mean. Okay, because I can't type it on my keyboard with an exponent superscript, so I've got to do the up arrow 2. Get used to that now, because for the rest of the semester, when I do a squared, it'll have that up arrow 2. And that's exactly what the key on your calculator looks like to put in an exponent. So it's just double exposure to that caret or that up arrow. All right, so c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And in that formula, a and b are legs of the triangle. You have 2 legs. You have a short leg and a long leg. Then you have what we call the hypotenuse, and that is c. So c is the hypotenuse, a and b are the short and long legs, but the hypotenuse is the longest side, and it is straight across from the right angle. Remember, we're only talking about right triangles here with this Pythagorean theorem. The hypotenuse is the longest side, and it's straight across from the right angle. That's very important. So if we draw a right triangle, so we have our right angle right here. Now, we need to label A, B, and C. So it doesn't matter if you label the long leg or the short leg as A or B, just as long as you know that these are the legs, the A and the B. Now, for some reason, sometimes it's hard for students to find the side that's straight across from the right angle. So start at the vertex of the right angle and bring your arrow out. There is your hypotenuse, C. That is the longest side of the triangle, and we always call it C in the Pythagorean theorem. Now, what do we use the Pythagorean theorem for in right triangles? Well, the Pythagorean theorem is used specifically finding the length of the sides of a right triangle. That's what it's for. So when we say C, A, and B, what we're talking about is the length. So A is the length of the leg, B is the length of the leg, and C is the length of the hypotenuse. If you took a ruler and you measured it, it would be the length. So let's see how we use this. Let's give some sides to this triangle. So let's say A is 7, and let's say B is 6. And we need to find C. So A equals 7, B equals 6. Find the length of the hypotenuse. So we have C squared equals 7 squared plus 6 squared. So we've got to go to our calculator and figure out what 7 squared plus 6 squared is. So for that we say 7, up arrow, just right here above your x squared key. And if you'll notice when you push that, it moves your cursor up to the superscript line. It's that button, squared. Now we have to get off of the exponent line, so we have to come back down, so you can arrow not down, to the right. When you arrow to the right, it gets to the next character. Plus 6 squared, so 6, up arrow, squared, and then arrow to the right with your directional pad. And all you need to do is click enter. That's 85. 7 squared plus 6 squared is 85. Let's go back and look at our equation that we're working on. 7 squared plus 6 squared is 85. Now, in solving equations, hopefully you remember from basic algebra that to solve for something being squared, you take the square root of it. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So C is the square root of C squared is just plain old C. When you take the square root, that exponent goes away. And we need to go to our calculator and find the square root of 85. So to do that, we're going to use our second button to get those second function menus. Then we're going to push the x squared, because if you look right above it, you have your radical symbol. And now if you look at the display on your calculator, you have the square root in there. Just put in your 85 and hit enter. Now right now is a good time to learn about what I call the switcheroozy button. So if I need this answer as a decimal, all I need to do is click that switcheroozy button right there, and it will convert it for me. Vice versa, I can go back and forth. You can use this with fractions to decimals or decimals to fractions, square roots, radicals, or square roots to decimals to give you a more exact estimated answer. The square root of 85 with the radical symbol is exact. and the decimal would be an estimate of 9.22. You're going to have to look at your multiple choice answers on whatever assessment you are completing to know which one you need. So because the square root of 85 does not simplify to an exact number, we'll say C is the square root of 85. And what symbol you put when you are estimating something is an equal sign that shows it's not exact, but an estimate. So it's kind of a curly equal sign. I believe we said 9.22. So it's about 9.22 and exactly the square root of 85 is what your C is. Okay. All right, well, now let's look at what we do when maybe we're given the length of one of the legs and the hypotenuse, and we're trying to find a missing leg. Excuse me, we're not trying to find the hypotenuse, but we're trying to find a missing leg. So let's say we're given that A equals 8 and the hypotenuse equals 15. So we're going to use our same exact formula, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. I'm so sorry. We're trying to, yes. C squared equals A squared plus B squared is the formula we're going to use. So we know our C. So we have 15 squared equals 8 squared plus B squared. And there's the equation that we're going to have to solve. So in this one, we're given the hypotenuse, and we're trying to find the missing leg, which is B. So 15 squared, just go to your calculator to do that one. To do 15 squared, it is 1, 5. You can use this shortcut x squared if you want, but I want you to get in the habit of using the up arrow because not always is your exponent going to be 2. So up arrow 2, direction to the right, get you off of that exponent line, hit enter, 225. So 225 equals 8 times 8 is 64 plus B squared. We're going to subtract 64 from both sides. Which is going to give us minus 64, 161. These will cancel. So 161 equals B squared. Now, how do we solve for a variable that's being squared? Take the square root of both sides. The square root of 61 is going to equal B. Back to our calculator. Second square root 161. Enter. It does not go evenly, so we'll use the switcheroozy button and find that approximate decimal. So about 12.69 or exact square root of 161. So B is the square root of 161, which is approximately 12 point, I think I said 69. That is your exact answer, and this is your approximate answer. And that one is solved. So it's not always that you're going to get a picture. Sometimes you're just going to have letters. Sometimes you might see something like this. Find the missing side. A equals 2. Let's say A equals 12. And C equals 20. So you're going to have to find B, and it's no different than the one we just did. 20 up arrow squared is your C equals A, 12 up arrow squared, plus B up arrow 2. So A and B are always your legs. C is your hypotenuse. That one in your calculator, you get 400 equals 144 plus B squared. Subtract 144 from each side. $256 equals B squared. To take the square root of both sides. To finish solving that, to get rid of that exponent on the B. So B is whatever the square root of 256 is. Second, x squared key gets you that radical, 256. That is exactly 16. No decimals on this one, no estimating. So B is 16. Done. Okay? So you have a picture sometimes, and sometimes you have the text. And that's it. So remember on this one, you're going to upload your copy of your picture of your notes. Upload the work shown, which is exactly like how you see me working these out from a picture of your work. And then 3, complete the Google form to get your grade. Okay, I'll see you next time.